Sirpur, India, the Surang Tila Temple. This structure, which dates back to the 7th century AD, was recently unearthed after being buried by a powerful earthquake that occurred in the 11th century. Although the rest of the area was completely leveled, the structure itself remained largely intact. Archaeologists suggest that this is due to the advanced construction techniques known as Ayurvedic or Vedic architecture utilized by its builders. The principles they used are derived from the ancient science of design that can be traced back to the ancient Indian texts. In March 2017, researcher and ancient astronaut theorist Giorgio Tsoukalos traveled to India to meet with archaeologist Dr. Arun Sharma, who headed the dig.
This is beautiful.
These are the steps. The steps, they are not straight. On the two corners, they have uplifted, got uplifted. This is the effect of the earthquake that happened here in 11th century AD. But rest of the township was totally destroyed.
Really? Now, is this considered Ayurvedic architecture right here?
Yes, Vedic architecture. The temple is built of heavy stones and joined by Ayurvedic paste, which is so strong that even after 1600 years, it is not dead.
That's amazing. Huh.
Now I will show you the original mortar places.
Okay.
Although much of the site has been renovated using modern concrete, blocks held together by the Ayurvedic paste can still be found.
Here, you see between the two stones, there is no gap. So here Ayurvedic paste was applied.
It seems to be almost like some type of glue.
Yes, it is a glue. They have not moved from their place. It is such a firm joining. If you want to make it live long, you follow the ancient pattern, not the cement. Cement has got the life of 70 years.
The glue-like substance is said to form a bond that is at least 20 times stronger than concrete. But modern builders have been unwilling to entertain the notion that such an ancient concoction could be superior to today's building materials.
Wow, look at this. Beautiful.
The detailed instructions for making this paste can be found in an ancient Indian text known as the Mayamatam, a manuscript dedicated to construction techniques. The information contained within the document is understood to have been passed down to humans from Mayasura, the ancient king of the demigods, who was said to oversee various construction projects on Earth, including cities in the sky.
Now we are in front of one sanctum sanctorum. And just at the entry point, here is the slit.
Curiously, there is a more astounding earthquake-proof feature at the site, which indicates that advanced knowledge was used in its construction. Located at key points within the Surang Tila Temple are several 80-foot-long shafts designed to form air pockets that can dissipate the impact of seismic events.
The book in which all this is described, I will show you.
Yes, please.
This is the book.
All right.
It is in 2 volumes.
Wow.
2 volumes. Every detail is given.
Oh, wow, this is big. It's a huge book. And this text has been around for 4,500 years.
Which traveled from mouth to mouth. When the writing started, then it was written down.
In your opinion, where did this knowledge come from?
Those who are more advanced in other planets used to visit the Earth, and I think they must have given some knowledge to the local people.
And you think that this knowledge originated from the stars?
I think there was a part played by these aliens.
It's amazing.
Honshu, Japan, April 2017. Near the modern-day city of Osaka, Giorgio Tsoukalos meets with fellow ancient astronaut theorist Takahiro Mikami to investigate one of the oldest and holiest sites in the country, the Ishi no Hoden megalith, a Shinto shrine said to be inhabited by an otherworldly being.
これが石の宝殿ですね。
Wow. It's gigantic. This is... I had no idea. I mean, it is massive.
そうですね。だいたい5メーターから6メーターぐらいの。
The rock itself is said to weigh about 500 tons.
500 tons?
Yes.
Wow.
そしてこういう石にもですね。
This is said to have the soul of a god or kami inside it.
Okay, so to this day, this is the belief that some type of spirit lives in this, or that the rock itself has spirit.
岩倉っていう
The spirit of the god is inside, and the stone carries a special spiritual meaning now.
Okay, that's amazing. I need to walk around. I mean, I had no idea how massive this is.
ちょうどこれは下を見てください。
So do you want to just look down below here?
浮いてるように見えます。
It looks like it's floating over the water.
It really does.
天の浮石。
The name for this rock is Amano Ukiishi, or the floating rock from the heavens.
そうです。まさにこの岩を作った神様の一人。
So this monolith is said to be related to one of the first gods that descended from the heavens to Japan, and he is said to have traveled over the country on a skyship made out of a giant rock, which was called Amano Iwafune, which is the heavenly rock ship.
So what you're telling me is that there is an ancient Japanese legend that speaks of a deity flying around in the sky with a gigantic vehicle made of stone?
まさしくそうです。
Absolutely.
So do you think that is the reason why it was called a vehicle made of stone? Because it was so powerful and strong and virtually indestructible that the story became it's a vehicle made of stone.
空から見て地上を見た。
You're absolutely right, because the gods were flying over the land on a giant ship. It wasn't a plane because it didn't have wings. It looked like a ship made out of very hard material that was like a very hard stone, and they would descend from the heavens and down onto the land, and thus they would travel around the country.
Another name for Ishi no Hoden is floating stone. So what did they mean by that? The way that this is constructed here, it seems as if it's hovering. So, did they perhaps try to recreate one of those hovering or flying skyships that they themselves witnessed? And what's so interesting to me about this massive monolith is that there are no apparent tool marks to be found at any place across the stone. How did ancient people possibly quarry and form this rock to such exacting precision without sophisticated tools?
Saqqara, Egypt, 1850. While on an expedition to recover ancient manuscripts for the Louvre Museum in Paris, French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette spots a strange object sticking out of the sand. Intrigued, Mariette has the sand cleared away and finds large rocks blocking what looks to be the entrance to an underground chamber. After using explosives to remove them, he gains entrance to a tomb complex, also known as the Serapeum. In April 2018, ancient astronaut theorist Giorgio Tsoukalos and Egyptologist and Cairo native Rami Rahmani visited this mysterious site.
The Serapeum of Saqqara, Giorgio. Magnificent. The name Serapeum comes from Serapis, which
Yes.
is Apis bull and Osiris,
Right.
combined together in one Greek god.
Located deep beneath the desert surface lies a 790-foot-long passageway. There, within a series of alcoves, neatly carved out of the limestone rock, are 24 gigantic stone sarcophagi. Each sarcophagus measures approximately 13 feet long, 7.5 feet wide, and over 10 feet tall. But just how the ancient Egyptians managed to transport these massive granite boxes remains unknown, as does their intended purpose.
So this is one of the most mysterious places in all of Egypt, Giorgio.
Look how far all this goes. The boxes themselves are, what, 70 to 75 tons? And then the lids are estimated to be 20 to 25 tons.
It's one of the most mysterious things about this place is really how they managed to bring these heavy structures all the way down here when we're breathing heavily just to get to the end.
Can we actually go down to some of these?
Of course we can.
Wow. You know, I've always read about these, I've seen pictures, but it's humongous. You can walk underneath it.
As far as conventional Egyptologists and archaeologists are concerned, the sarcophagi were meant to house the remains of the sacred Apis bulls. But as only one of the tombs was found to contain animal remains, and all the others were found empty, the true nature of the Serapeum is a source of deep contention.
The Apis bull is a representation for god Osiris. And there's something very important to mention. Ancient Egyptians did not worship animals. Their concept was the gods sent the animals to be their messengers, and we have to respect them in that way.
It was said that the first ever Apis bowl was created when a ray of light came down from heaven itself and struck this cow who produced the first Apis bull. So there is some relationship between the bull itself and the stars.
The sides and also here at the bottom, the polishing is perfect. And we can illustrate this by just looking at the angle. I mean, it's a perfect 90-degree angle. Check this out. It is absolute perfection. It's easy to cut limestone, but to cut basalt is, that's a different story. What do these inscriptions here say?
These inscriptions were extremely important. You see the doors, specifically the so-called false doors. They were the doors that allowed the spirit, the Ka and the Pa, the spirit and the soul, to come out from the mummy and then read the hieroglyphic inscriptions. They wanted to make sure that these Apis bulls come back to life, go to eternity, so they could stay with Osiris in the sky.
Ancient historians' accounts like Herodotus, Strabo, Eusebius, all of these old chroniclers speak of a former glory age of Egypt known as the Golden Age, which some have suggested dates back as far as 10,500 BC. So is it possible that what we have right here may be a remnant of that time?
When it comes to dating, I don't have a response. I can't tell you for a fact that this was made 3,000 years ago. Till today, there's a debate on when were these made.
Sardinia, Italy, May 2018. Oak Island treasure hunter Marty Lagina has invited Giorgio Tsoukalos to help him explore Sardinia's mysterious structures and offer his unique perspective. Local guide Ivana Malu has taken them to the well of Santa Cristina, an ancient structure believed to have been built sometime around 1800 BC.
Signor Zedda, come stai? Sono Giorgio.
They are met by archaeoastronomer Mauro Pepino Zedda.
No, wait a minute, Aspetta.
Yeah, prego.
These are modern, right? This is reproduction. No, I mean it. No,
I know.
This is reproduction.
It's what people say. When they are here, they say, oh, Ivana, that's a fake. What is that here? Can you imagine the well here is 3,000 years old?
No, honestly, these are the original stones?
Really, believe me.
Wow.
100%. That is built to last for the eternity.
Well, this is spectacular.
The well of Santa Cristina demonstrates such incredible masonry skill that archaeologists struggle to explain how it was built by so-called primitive people. Based on his years of research, Giorgio believes that the stonework may provide important clues for the theory that a race of extraterrestrial giants once inhabited the island.
Do you want to touch with your hand the sophistication of the wall?
Yes.
Here we go.
Unbelievable.
Look at this. It is round. It's a perfect circle. You can't put a piece of paper. There's no mortar used to put this stuff together. I mean, è incredibile questo.
Not only is it constructed beautifully, the foundation is below the water table, okay? That's very hard to do. I can tell you from Oak Island, working in the water is difficult. Yeah. This is spectacular.
Santa Cristina Holy Well is one of the most important sites in Sardinia. It's part of a Nuraghic settlement that dates back to 1500 BC, with Nuraghe towers, menhirs, standing stones, and everything else there. But the most interesting part of that is this very sophisticated well. It's the most precision-carved stonework I've seen in all of the Mediterranean, really. It's almost like it was built by the Egyptians or the Peruvian stonemasons. It's so advanced.
It's very fascinating. The walls around here, any child can do this. You don't need any sophisticated technology to do this. But that in there, especially if you think that there was no written record, how was this preconceived? Somebody had to think about it. Clearly, there's two types of builders that were present there, because you have the well, which is absolute perfect stonemasonry, and then you have the walls around it that clearly were created by a later culture, because it's not sophisticated at all. It's just a bunch of stones thrown together. Yet the well that goes deep into the ground, it is unlike anything that I've ever seen. The question is, there was no written language. How was this planned? Because if you look at this from above, it's this keyhole shaped, and that to me is fascinating.
I have not seen anything quite like this, okay? I'm literally wowed by this.
Clearly, someone told the local people how to place these stones into different areas, because it was a connection to the celestial realm.
So you're surmising the technology was given to these people.
The engineering knowledge, because this screams mathematics.
Yes, it does. I will certainly concur to this extent. Someone or some ones had extraordinary knowledge here. This is not easy to build.
No.
Ferentino, Italy, June 2019. Ancient astronaut theorist Giorgio Tsoukalos. He's in the heart of the Italian peninsula, about 50 miles southeast of Rome. This area of Italy, known as Latium, was considered the epicenter of the Roman civilization. Located 300 miles east of Sardinia and 600 miles north of Malta, Ferentino is also connected to stories of giants. Giorgio is eager to investigate the ancient city's massive megalithic walls, considered to be some of the finest constructions in Italy. For expert insight, he has called upon local historian Danila Bracaglia.
Danila?
Giorgio.
Piacere.
Welcome to Italy and to Ciociaria.
Thank you. This is beautiful. What can you tell me about this area?
Ferentino, where we are today, is actually known for these constructions of the megalithic walls, founded, according to the tradition, by god Saturn.
Okay. This is fascinating to me, because this is one of the reasons why I'm here. What can you tell me about the mythologies of Saturn and this area here?
So the 5 cities of Saturn are all a few kilometers one from another, and they all start with the letter A. Alatri, Arpino, Anagni, Atina, and Ferentino. The original name was Antino. The tradition says, you know, the towns were founded by Saturn and the Titans.
In Greek mythology, the Titans were human-like gods of enormous stature, who were eventually overthrown by their children, the Olympians. Saturn is the Roman name for the Titan Cronus, the father of Zeus and one of the primary gods of ancient Rome, after whom both the planet Saturn and the day Saturday are named. The ancient Romans wrote that Saturn once reigned as an earthly king alongside Janus during a golden age when the gods walked among humans. Could it be that Saturn and the Titans are not merely the product of mythology, but actually existed on Earth and were responsible for helping to construct the megalithic structures found throughout the Mediterranean?
So Danila, where are we right now?
So this is one of the entrance gates to the town. And here, it's actually a perfect point where you can understand the stratification of the time. You see the huge blocks from the pre-Roman time, then smaller blocks built in the Roman time, and finally the Middle Age on top.
So basically you can see the megalithic structure, then the Roman, and then medieval.
Exactly, and it's like reading an history book. So it's, because here it's evident that people lived here for thousands of years, and then they had different technique of construction. Some of them, like the megalithic constructions, are lost, so we don't know exactly when they were built.
Do you know if all these 5 cities of Saturn have the Cyclopean walls?
Yes, they have these walls, megalithic, so huge stones, and some of them are better preserved than others.
I mean, this is incredible, and this region is not the only place that has these walls. For example, we have them also in Greece. What's even more fascinating is that we have similar walls on the other side of the world in Sacsayhuaman, Peru. So from completely opposite sides of the planet, we have similar, if not identical, construction styles. According to the ancient astronaut theory, Saturn was one of the founding gods of civilization on Earth. So the idea that this may have had something to do with an extraterrestrial visit, to me, is fascinating.
Asuka Park, Japan, April 2017.
Does that say rock ship?
Masuda rock ship.
Oh, all right.
Giorgio Tsoukalos and ancient astronaut theorist Takaharu Mikami set out to examine Masuda no Iwafune, an 800-ton rock structure that was carved from a single piece of granite and resembles no other architecture in Japan.
Hey, check out this square grid on the sides. I mean, this is something that I've seen before in India, in Mahabalipuram. And they had something very similar on the side of some of their rocks as well. I can't wait to see the top. Amazing. Oh, man.
Whoa.
Wow, that is... I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
While some researchers believe the Masuda no Iwafune megalith is a tomb, others claim it is meant to depict the skyboats that are described in ancient Japanese stories.
So the idea is that this was the entrance to a Buddhist temple. What do they mean by that? Inside, I mean, where?
It would actually predate Buddhism in Japan, so it wouldn't have anything to do with Buddhist temples.
Right. So what is the actual translation of Masuda no Iwafune?
マスダっていうのはもう地名ですね。
Masuda is the name of a region, and Iwafune literally means stone ship or a rock ship.
Okay.
岩のような課題、重い。
Yes, it's naturally the Iwafune or the rock ship would have come down from the heavens as a vehicle for the gods to descend upon Earth.
So I guess with the combination of the mythologies of celestial beings, this could be some type of representation of one of those flying vehicles that our ancestors perhaps witnessed.
Mishra Gar Il Kabir, located on the southwest coast of Malta. This region is home to some of the most baffling formations found anywhere on the planet. a complex network of grooves carved into the rock known simply as cart ruts.
The cart ruts on Malta are about 4 feet wide. They're uniformly spaced. Some of them run hundreds of yards. Some of them run miles.
These parallel incisions in the bedrock have been identified as cart ruts because that's what they look like. What they really were, what their purpose was, we don't know. There's nothing written. There's no way really to tell. But there are a lot of them. In some places, they are so crisscrossed and complex that the area has been called Clapham Junction after the train station in London.
Author Gordon Weston has been studying this strange anomaly for more than a decade, and in 2010 wrote a book called The Maltese Cart Ruts: Unraveling an Enigma, in which he examines the various theories about how they might have been formed.
So Gordon, tell me what you think.
Well, it's got a half a lifetime?
Absolutely, yes.
Basically, you couldn't drive a cart down here. The cart would be wrecked. Early researchers looked at vehicles that would scrape away the rock because that's what it looks like's happened. There was 3 devices. The first one was a sledge, probably the oldest form of human transport, but they found that the sledge immediately got stuck. So the 2 other devices have been looked at. One was a travois, used by the Plains Indians to transport their teepees from camp to camp. The problem is the poles would be wider than these ruts when they touch the ground. The next device is called a slide car. It's a load platform with 2 runners on it. It's a fanciful and ridiculous idea. Practical experiments and that have seen that it just doesn't work. Science is useless for this problem. There is no methodology which can be applied scientifically to these ruts.
So in St. George's Bay, in a city called Bersabuja, there are a couple of ruts that go straight into the Mediterranean Sea.
They are famous, you're right. It is interesting to see that ruts go into the sea. They also said to have come up on the other side of the bay, but is now built over. So how do you explain it?
It might be that we're looking at a technology we don't understand. The ruts go off into the sea. Underwater, people have dived down and found them miles away. So apparently, either the sea level rose or the land subsided, or maybe both. During the last ice age, the sea level was 300 feet lower. So it could have been that 10,000, 15,000 years ago, the islands were inhabited by people who used these so-called cart ruts to transport stones across the island.
According to geologists, the last ice age ended around 10,000 BC. Might the existence of these cart ruts corroborate the findings of Professor Paul Mikolev, who claimed the Amnidra Temple was constructed more than 12,000 years ago? Perhaps even more baffling to researchers is the fact that these mysterious grooves are not confined to the Maltese Islands.
These cart ruts are found also in Tunisia and in Sicily. So they seem to relate to a people who are occupying all of those areas.
Of the many mysterious stone carvings and structures found throughout Sardinia, perhaps the most confounding are the thousands of megalithic towers that dot the island's landscape. The structures, known as Nuraghe, stand as architectural marvels, each constructed using colossal stones and held together without the use of mortar.
The conventional narrative concerning the purpose of these towers is that they were constructed as fortifications. How do you build 30,000 towers, employing all of the equipment and manpower that implies, and yet still continue to farm, still continue to defend yourself while you're building these towers?
To investigate the Nuraghe firsthand, Giorgio Tsoukalos and Marty Lagina traveled with archaeological guide Ivana Malo to the Nuraghe of Santu Antine, one of the largest on the island.
Let's go inside.
Let's do that.
Is it possible that these colossal stone structures are in some way linked to the numerous mythological tales of giants, who many believe lived here thousands of years ago?
I'll show you the way.
Wow, Ivana, this is
Look at
pretty
this.
impressive.
Look at this. This is the only one Nuraghe in 8,000 we found in Sardinia, which has 3 niches connected by a tunnel.
I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Huh. Look at the size of these blocks. I mean, that one right there is a minimum of 1 ton, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The effort to create this is extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And I think it was made by a very advanced society in some senses, which is to say, where's the knowledge come from, right?
Right.
I mean, this is not a simple structure.
And this is interesting because there are other places around the world with similar masonry, so you have to wonder what's going on.
So, Giorgio, we've been in here now for a while. What's your best idea? What is this?
Well, some have suggested that these places here are in correspondence to some constellations, such as the Pleiades.
According to the work of Italian author and archaeologist Augusto Mulas, the constellation known as the Pleiades has played an important role in religious rituals for thousands of years, particularly in ancient Babylon. He also observed that when viewed from the air, the Nuraghe at Santo Antine was one of 7 that, when looked at together, precisely matched the configuration of the stars of the Pleiades. But why? Could it be connected in some way to the ancient Babylonian stories of the Anunnaki, the winged giants, who, as depicted in numerous ancient carvings, suggest an eerie connection to the so-called Watchers referenced in the Bible? According to ancient astronaut theorists, the answer is a profound yes. But they also cite numerous other connections between ancient civilizations and the Pleiades constellation.
The Pleiades are a very special star group to numerous ancient cultures, including the Maya and the Cherokee and others, who believe that it was a place from whence our creators originated, that in fact beings have been coming and going from the Pleiades for millennia. But you have to wonder, with this connection in Sardinia, perhaps the inhabitants of Sardinia were actually in contact with beings from the Pleiades.
I think it's really fascinating that these Nuraghes are actually representations of a certain section in the night sky. And so, you know, maybe that was the calling card by the extraterrestrials in order to show where they came from.
A sort of map.
Exactly.
Here it is, surviving after 3,000 years. Are any of the buildings we're creating today going to last that long?
Oh, that's a great question.
I doubt it.
All of these structures were built in a megalithic style for a future generation that would understand the discrepancy in logic.